Hey everybody, it's Aaronator here, and we got our 8th episode of our Colorado Avalanche franchise mode here on the PS4, guys. In the last episode, we went and did the 2016-17 NHL draft, and that was year 1. And if you did not check out our past 2 episodes, the draft and the playoffs, make sure you go check them out because they were pretty hype. We unfortunately did not win the Stanley Cup. We ended up losing to the Dallas Stars in the conference finals, the Western Conference Finals. And that was a bitter loss, even though I did not expect us to get that far. So you know what? That was a great step for our team, but we can't slow down on that. If we end up we could easily miss the playoffs, or we could get knocked out in the first round in this next season. And I don't want that to happen. We cannot let up off the gas. We need to keep on going forward with this team. And we did lose some pieces due to retirement, Francois Beauchemin and Jerome McGinley. Now, their contracts, especially Beauchemin, if he did drop, might have been a bit of a problem, a bit of an issue. But nonetheless, in the playoffs, they were very clutch for us, and they were providing lots of depth in the top 4 and top 6 spots that now we have to fill in with either younger players or free agents. So that's why in this episode, I don't actually have 100%. I haven't 100% decided who I'm looking at getting. I've looked at a couple comments, looked at a couple players, and at this point, I looked at trades, but I think we have enough young players that could come into our lineup that the thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna sign a couple of guys, but we're not gonna oversign. So we're gonna have to see who has to come up for next year. So is there any problem signing anybody next year? There could be some depth signings that we could possibly end up missing out on for future years. Goaltending would be Cam Picard, but you know what, Varlamov, although his contract isn't super team friendly, right now he's our starting goaltender, and we are not going to lose him at this point. So he took us to the playoffs through the playoffs last year, so he'll take us once again. And we also have Johnson and Barry, who Barry maybe contract's pretty nice, but Johnson, I mean, all these guys. Duchesne's contract will come up in 2 years, so our team isn't super cap friendly or team friendly, but I mean, it's team friendly enough. And we have some guys that are taking really nice cuts, like our 2 top players, arguably, Barry and McKinnon. They haven't quite. I think the playoffs, like for McKinnon, the playoffs are pretty solid. He's turned into that top-notch first line that we need. Barry had a great season offensively last year. If you didn't check it out, here I can actually show you. In the season, he was phenomenal. Honestly, he could have won a Norris Trophy off that season. Maybe a bit more goals and more offense, but I mean, yeah. Okay, it was point-wise, it was pretty. You know what? He just had a really stellar season. Playoff-wise, he was pretty stellar for us in the playoffs once again. So. The one problem, though, we have to look at is with losing Beauchemin and Iginla, although they weren't necessarily the best second liners, now we have to look at who would be our second liner. So I think it's pretty obvious at this point we have to give either Grigorenko or Colborne a spot on the second line. Colborne because he's the best second liner-ish player, and then Grigorenko because, I mean, not only necessarily is he a cap player, like a good team player for this point, but he did have a 20-goal season last year. He had a pretty solid playoff run. And if he can develop into a top 6 player, that'd be nice. Another guy that could also come up is Rantanen, 82 overall sniper. I don't think he will be a second liner. I think you also have to have a pretty good season. And in the NHL, he wasn't exactly the best player. So hopefully he can have a solid season on the third line and then develop into the second line player that we need him to be. At this point, we have lots of top line guys. We just need to work on our depth, not necessarily like full depth wise, but I'm talking more about like higher depth, like the top 6 and the top 4. We have some studs in there, but we don't have the depth throughout that lineup in that area. Like it's almost like Dallas, Sagan and Ben, but then they actually have guys like Patrick Sharp, Jason Spezza, Yuri Hudler, guys that can fill in and are getting offense for the team as well. So we need to have those clutch players that are good playoff performers just as well, like Soderberg. Soderberg's a perfect example. Cap is actually pretty nice as a second liner. He brings defense, offense, everything. So if we can find another guy like Soderberg, that'd be nice, but you can't always find those guys. So especially for that kind of cap. But I mean, age. We'll get into age. At this point, he's fine and he's playing like the player we need him to play as. So at this point, we do need to get a second line player or a guy who can play second line. So we're going to have to look at that definitely. Defensively, I think if you look at our defense, Beatgrass, the low elite, Weirkosh, it says he's 80. He may not drop. He may not go back because he did have a season in the AHL. I noticed that if players drop down, they can still get back up to what they previously were. Weirkosh was an 83, and I think if he plays as an 83, the way he played in the AHL, he could actually have a really nice year in the NHL as a top 6 defenseman, and then even get better or something like that. We'd have to see. We might have to sign one more defenseman. I was maybe even a top 4. Maybe a veteran guy in case Beatgrass isn't ready for the top 4 spot. I don't think he will be. I think Zadorov is going to have to at this point. I think he can be, but we'll have to see what happens. And as well, Johnson and Barry, I'm not sure if they're going to play on the top line together, but I want Johnson to play the minutes that he's getting paid to play. Honestly, if he's not performing, then we don't want to play him in those high-profile minutes, but we sort of have to at this point. We don't have many other options to sign big defensemen necessarily to play those big minutes. So I have been thinking a bit, and my original thing that I was looking at was Martin Hansel, because 85 overall, he's a good cap player. It's basically a Soderberg almost, less offensive, more physical. And I mean, although he had a great season, if you look at this, he had 58 points, 20 goal season. That's like the best one that he's ever won, like even in these previous seasons. If real life, obviously video game. But, I mean, plus 11. He must have been on Arizona still, I think. Or he got moved. I can't remember. He might have been on one of the other teams, like Montreal, I feel like. But maybe not. Sucks it doesn't show you the team that he played with. There's a couple RFAs here in Wenberg and Granlund. We don't need to give up those draft picks to sign those guys, because then if they don't work out for us, it's just like second round pick wasted. And then there's a lot of cap guys here. So some of you guys were saying don't go after Johnson, go after Johnson. Don't go after these certain guys. They don't want good contracts. So I looked into all of them. So Johnson, 26 years old, perfect age for our team. 47 points. He's not really a high-profile guy. Like in the playoffs, even in like this last playoff run with Tampa, he had 5 points in 11 games, -4. And he's a second liner at 87 overall. I don't want that. If he's not, because he's not necessarily he's not very physical. I feel like that's something that might have an impact, those physical stats within the season, or within the playoffs. Marchand is a two-way forward, not the greatest defense, but if you look at his offense, I mean, it looked like Johnson was the better guy, but in the simulation, Johnson might have even got to play with guys like Kucherov or Palat on the power play. Brad Marchand had to play with guys like Krejci, Backus, and Bergeron. Now, maybe those guys were enough to get him 70-ish points, 25 goals. I don't think he'd be able to repeat that, but I think a 20-goal season to 50, 55 points for him is realistic if that's the kind of guy you want. You offer him the sort of money that he is looking at, 6.5 for 3 years. You could boost that up a bit, and he wants to go down. Now, his potential may also drop as he is 29. He could become a top 9 forward, but I don't think we have to worry about him dropping, especially because, first of all, we can always trade the player if we want to, because there's no trade clauses that we can add in or that he may want or something. But one thing that's interesting is, I mean, as long as he's playing good, even with morale, as long as our team is doing well with him and he develops into our team and has good chemistry with these guys, you know, he could stay at 87, 86 overall, even if it's his morale that's going up. So because as long as his morale shows him still at 87 within 2 or 3 years, that's okay, because that means that the team is still doing well, right? So I mean, that's honestly cheap wise. You could get him for 5.5. He is interested. Almost every player in this free agency is interested. We can get him for 5.75 at 5 years. Good contract for a solid like second line left winger. Not sure if I want to do that. TJ Oshie I looked at. He wants 7 years. If you move that down a bit, you could go 4 years at 6.5 and see if he can take the pay cut to join us, because I do like the kind of stats he is putting up, because always a plus player, plus 11, plus 5 in the playoffs. He's a solid guy whether he's on the top line or second line. But, I mean, we don't need another first-line player. So I'm going to say, out of all the options that we can make, I want to have a second liner, and I think the most realistic one is Brad Marchand. He could drop, but I really do like what he brings. As a Canucks fan, you guys wouldn't expect me to like him necessarily, but I mean, the World Cup of Hockey, he played great with Crosby. I mean, Crosby's a great player. I mean, Marchand's a great player. It's just if he's on your team, you love him, and if he's not on your team, you hate him. It's like that. It's like that sort of things. But we're gonna see if we can add him to the team. I think the kind of contract I want to add him into at 30, he'll be 34 by the time this contract's ended. I think 5 years is good. Because if we give him 3 years, I don't think he needs to get that much for a second liner. This is good for a second liner. Realistically, that is how much years a guy at 29. They'd even get more, like 7 years. And we could actually do that. If we did 7 years, we could make him $5 million. And then, I mean, is that the best thing? So actually, I might even do that. If he's 7 or 6 years, 35, we could trade him at 34 if he's really dropping. I think I like that. 5 years. There's some players, I don't know. I just think 7 years even for that kind of a guy. I don't know. 7 years, 6 years, 35. I think 6 years is the most I'd want to do. And if we're talking about cap wise, I think 5.5. I think 5.5 for 6 years, or if it's 5 years, then it'd be 5.85 or something. You're paying him more, but one more year. I don't know. It's tough. You have to keep him for one more year then. So 5.8 for 5 years. I think I don't want to sign him too long. So you know what I'm gonna do? I know it may not be the greatest idea, and it's another two-way forward, but we can always move him throughout the lineup. I do like Marchand as a player. I'm gonna try for I want to make sure we get him $6 million. You know what? 5 years at 4 years, 5 years at $6 million. I want to be a winning team right now, guys, and that's the kind of money you have to pay sometimes. So we got to get this solid player there. On defense, which probably even could be a bigger issue, but I mean, our defense, if they're our young defensemen, if they do well, then it could be nice. Wideman. With that $6 million, that means $6 million is left. I'd like to give us about $3 million, but that's not. $5 million isn't going to happen. $3 million, even closer to the cap, would be good. That might mean that we have to do a 1 year contract for one of these guys. So what I'm going to do, I actually do want to sign someone though. I was going to say wait till the end of the season, then we can sign someone. But in case there isn't someone left, then we may not have the chance. I mean, I don't know. We have to see. Daly, how did he do in Pittsburgh? Plus 16, 25 points. He could be a power play guy. I like his defensive categories, and he's poised. So could we get him for 2 years? I don't really like that contract. He could always drop top 4. I'm looking at the potential as well. Wisniewski, he is even more of a point guy. His solid point totals. How many games? He played a full season. Habs fan, you said that he wasn't durable, really, and in real life he isn't, but his durability in this is okay. So it's better than, like, I think average is 80. 82 is pretty good. That was what his durability was. I mean, the playoffs, he played pretty well. So 33 years old. Let's see what he wants. He wants 2 years. Oh, but that's a lot. You know what? I have to hope that he takes a pay cut at this point. I think Bigras and/or Zadorov. I think we can take this guy for cap. I don't know. That's tough. That's really tough. I mean, even at that, we could take Stone, who might even be better. Durable. What are his point totals there? 27. It wasn't Arizona. 27 points compared to Wisniewski. Wisniewski could always drop. I do want more of a power play defense. We're going to go after Wisniewski, boys. More of a veteran-like player. 1 year. Teams may want him, but you know what? I'm going to try and see if I can get him for a 1 year Well, I mean, 2 years contract. We can always trade him at the draft if we really need to. So I'm going to go with that. So 5 mil. Wisniewski is not that kind of a player. May not. You know what? 4.85. I gotta make sure I'm smart with my money as well. These aren't the smartest money signings, but to make our team better and to fill in those spots lost by Ginla and Bushman, then we got to make those changes, right? So this video isn't taking as long as I thought it would. I thought it would be 30 minutes, and I think with what could happen, I think we should be able to go at a perfect time, at exactly what we need to. I mean, 25 minutes could be good, but Marchand decided to reject the offer. You want to win now. You don't think this team has what it takes to do so. More money may change my mind, though. I think what he said there was literally not right. I don't think that's the reason why. I think he does want to win now, and he knows that our team would be fine. He just wants more money. So I think honestly, the contract year length is what matters right now. So we'll have to figure that out. Wisniewski decided to go to Buffalo. That's okay. I wasn't planning on him to be that major. But now, hopefully, Marchand hasn't signed with another team. We could be in trouble. He hasn't. Okay, so he hasn't decided to sign with anyone else. 3 years may be a smarter contract for us. So maybe if we do this, maybe we do less money. So if we give him a bit more, but only for 3 years, this could be smarter for a franchise. 7.4, 7.35. I'm going to go with 7.35, boys. I think that could be a really good signing for us. As long as it's contract length, you go a bit cheaper. 6.4, 6.45. You know what? I really do want Marchand, and if it is only for 3 years, I think we can go exactly what he wants, and we'll do that. Defense, I think. Defense. I mean, I wouldn't. Okay, Jalana isn't actually there even, so that can't happen. Is there any more rule top 4 guys I didn't actually see? No. Let's see. Strite, if he wants 1 year, 4.7. He might drop. I think he'll drop. Daly, I think will drop. Honestly, I think we need to sign a guy anyways. So defensively, Straight is still very capable. Offensively, poise, durability. I like Daly better. I'm going to try and go for Daly. He wants 3 years, but I think I'm only willing to give him 1 year. 2 years. We'll see if he goes for 2 years. I think $5 million is the max for 2 years. I don't like that. You know what? I got to pass. I'm going to see if there's anybody else that comes up. Maybe we'll have to make a trade. There was a defenseman I was actually looking at getting in a trade. I'll get into that later. But you know what? I really don't like the options for defense, especially with dropping. I want to make sure that no matter what, we have another top 4 defenseman going to the season. And I'm not going to sign a player just to... And if we sign him and then he dropped, I wouldn't want to trade him. And Marchand does sign, so that's perfect. He gets what he wants. And it's a fine contract. You know what? 3 years, that's actually a better length. Money-wise, that doesn't help our chances at winning if we need to sign more players, but you know what? Length-wise, we can handle it. So he won't hinder us in the future. But honestly, I am more in a win-now mode. I wouldn't have minded giving him a longer contract, which I probably could have done, but even at that, he didn't want 7 years, he didn't want 7 years, he wanted 3, so I think it would have been better that instead of 7 years, I think we would have had to give him 5.5 or something, and that would have just been as good as 3 years at 6.5, right? So I hope you guys understand the reason for that signing. That's the main reason, is because the reason I'm not skipping past this the off season is because or skipping to the preseason is because I want to talk to you guys about that. But also I do want to mention one thing. The reason that I did not post a hut, if you guys did not know from the live stream, I did mention it, or from my previous video in, I think, the GM mode, I did mention it. If maybe I didn't in any of those, but just to mention it now, I did have a hockey tournament on the Thanksgiving weekend here. It was fun. We came in second. If you want to know, if you want me to go more in depth, I can make a video about that. If you want to learn more, it's not going to be a bunch of clips of me playing, but I mean, I can talk to you about how it happened, and it was interesting. But we got second place. We lost, so it was still a fun tournament, but yeah, that's it. So yeah, let's skip to the preseason. So on defense here, I think there's one guy I might do for a trade. I might wait till the next episode. I might just stop it there. I do need to get this video out sooner rather than later, because I know you guys are probably impatient for videos. We missed a week. So Hut will just be on the next week. If you guys watch that, then it'll just be on the next Friday. Just going to skip this week. It's also better, because I wouldn't have been able to get necessarily great content out of it. It would have just probably been a game, and I want to do a giveaway, like a Thanksgiving giveaway. It might be a bit later, but I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But let's see. Marchand, I think joining the team as a free agent was the right move for my career. I think it was too, bud. I think you'll do great. Hunker down, bring your A game every night. You need to perform at a high level for this team, so don't slack off out there. And time was out. No, that's not actual talk. You need to prove it on the ice before the judge. No. I think you'll do great. Hunker down, bring your A game every night. You need to perform at the high level for this team, so don't slack off out there. Do we want to motivate him, or do we want to demand from him? I think I just want to, I don't want to demand another 70-point season out of him. Motivational, Honestly, I want to be honest with him, like sort of a nice tone to him. I think you'll do great. Hunker down and bring your A game every night. Not necessarily the A game every night. I mean, obviously he has to for his contract, but I think he will do very solid for our team, and his morale improved. So that was good. Good choice there. Not the demanding. He just signed with us. You don't need to demand from him. I think he will do solid in that top six, and that makes us much more stronger. So let's go and make roster moves, and then we can actually see the overall at the front there, where it shows like the offense 90. It showed 91 for offense, 90 for defense, and then something else for goaltending. We can check that out in a sec. So I'm not sure if this is from morale, but this is the first time we've had a developed player get to the 90 overall. So obviously his morale is good, but he is very much liking what's happening. Nathan McKinnon, oh man, he's a stud. Anybody seen that Tim Hortons ad? You're gonna trade your best player? I love that. That's the best thing. Honestly, I don't know why. I just found that really hilarious the first time I heard it. Maybe it gets repetitive, but yeah. So in the system, Bgrass and Rantanen. So neither of them are necessarily top 6 or top 4 players. So that was expected. I did not expect them to boost up. Weirkoch, I'm going to keep you up for now. Dahlbeck, I'm not sure if we need a defenseman, so we'll keep you up there for now. We might need him as our 7th guy. Siemens didn't develop much, so I didn't think he would. Forwards, let's see. Which guys? Depth forwards, so probably Martinson. I think McLeod. I think I'm going to trade McLeod, guys, so I'm going to send him down for now. Martinson's happy. Bork, yes, depth forward. I think he's more of an offensive player, so maybe good for the AHL. And then we'll leave it at that. We'll send those guys down and bring up those guys. So that's 6 defensemen right there. So we will need to make a move for a defenseman, whether by signing a free agent defenseman or trading for one. I really don't think our defense is that strong, and I think it will need to be stronger. But good news is Zadorov is ready. I was really hoping his defensive awareness would get up there, but his just awareness on ice. Like, he has the skill. He's just not very aware. So maybe if we play him with a smart player, then maybe that'll work better. Like, almost like a Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie has the senses, like defensive awareness more than his actual defensive stats. Maybe if you put those guys together, maybe it will work. Maybe it won't. Maybe we need to try him with Johnson. Maybe a more physical line. I mean, actually, Johnson's awareness is better than his actual skill, right, too. So maybe that'll work. I don't know. I think for the start of the season, I want to continue with Barrie and Johnson because that's what we rolled with last season. That got us into the playoffs. So we'll probably do that. Goalies are just fine. I like what's happening. I actually forgot to sign Vivalainen. I was completely forgetting about prospects in that. Vivalainen, we didn't really need a prospect goalie, although it would have been nice. I can see if he's still there, but I doubt he would be at 20 years old. Fringe starter potential. That'll be what it is. Duchesne is an alternate captain. Cody McLeod should be the captain of the AHL. Yeah, that's it. Honestly, Duchesne, you know what? Okay, I just realized something. So I'll give him back the A, actually. I'm going to put it on him. I actually realized I looked at him, at his stats for the playoffs. I didn't think he was, because he wasn't scoring goals, and when we really needed him to, I think he might have got 1 or 2 if we were lucky. But in the playoffs, near the end, I didn't really see him getting much offense. He had 6 goals, but he actually was a point per game in the playoffs. So I am very sorry to Matt Duchesne for not noticing how he was, and he does deserve the A on his shirt because he was a very solid player for us. So Devils have been shopping around Mike Camilleri. That could be interesting if we wanted to sign for another top 6 forward. His value might be less and also be maybe easier to trade for him. So yeah, that could be interesting. For Met, let's see if there's anybody. Oduya and Medvedev. So there's some defensemen there. Maybe if we want to go after those guys. 35. Solid defensive guy in Oduya there. A good playoff guy probably. Let's see what his stats are for last season. 17 minus 13. Played the full season. He was a +5. So that could be an interesting sign. We could sign him and he would definitely help out our penalty kill. But we have to see what our penalty kill looks like. So I don't want to make too many trades. If we're going to make a trade, it's going to be for a top 4 defenseman. Maybe for Camilleri sort of thing, like a top 6 forward. He's 87 overall. What's his cap? Actually, I remember his cap not being great. $5 million. That could be a potential guy we get at the trade deadline, I think. 61 points last year, 22 goals. I really could like that. I could really see him fitting in with our team. But I'm going to wait for now. We're not going to trade for him straight away. We're going to see if we can. He's definitely a guy I would definitely be interested if he doesn't drop. I wouldn't mind keeping him for 2 years, but we also have to worry about who we have to sign next year. I don't think we have too many big names. He'll just be in the same year as the when Matt Duchene's contract comes around. And I was thinking about actually trading Duchene, but then I realized that he was actually a really good player. So, yeah. Defensively, I'm not going to mention the defenseman that I was going to go after through trade, but if you guys want to mention any more, you guys did say some, then we can figure that out. But defense, cap, that's cap. Actually, Teuton's still there. He wants a good contract. No, I wouldn't think so. Overall, we could sign one of these guys. Or we could trade for a guy like Oduya, 83 overall. I did have a guy who, you know what? I don't mind if you guys actually see this anymore. I'm actually going to go look and see if this trade still makes sense for us and if it still makes sense for the team. And if so, I might make it in this video just to see if it works. Toronto, and we're going for a defenseman, and his name is not Morgan Riley, but Jake Gardiner. So 85 overall, 27 years old, right in that age gap we need. 2 years at $4 million. That was the big thing for me, like approximately $4 million. It's a perfect cap for a top 4 defenseman. In 2 years, we have to sign him. But right now, his cap is great. That's a great cap. $4 million for a guy who, I mean, even on a bad team, let's see what he did. 28 points, minus 15. That's probably at least a 0. That's a solid power play guy. And I'm sure that he would have a much better year if he were in our organization. So I think I'm actually, I mean, it's sort of, you would wonder why it doesn't make sense for them. Honestly, it was because it said rebuilder for them. Their status is hopeful, so I'm not sure if this still makes sense. I could give them a guy like Bgrass, but I'm not. Now that I know what Bgrass is, or how he has developed, I really don't want to give him up. So they can always sign someone. I mean, do they have a reason to be? I don't know. I think that would have to happen, unfortunately, later on in the season. I do want to go after him. And, I mean, if you look at their team, forward-wise, they just signed TJ Oshie. No. This trade doesn't make sense anymore. I'm sorry. I was going to say that, but now if you take him out, their top 4 is Hunwick and Pollock in there. Gardner gives them something that, I mean, for cap reasons. I mean, you know what? No, I take that back. That made sense on the surface, and then we could make it make sense, but I feel like we'd have to give up either Bgrass or Zadorov, and I really don't want to do that. So I'm going to actually end it off at there. I was really hoping we could do something more with that, but we're going to have to end it off in the next episode. So edit lines. Let me just go quickly show you guys what the lines could look like. It'll probably be what it was last season. Duchene, McKinnon, and Gabriel Landeskog. We can make McKinnon the top line center, or we can make him right wing. We could actually do this if we wanted to, but then like that's what I was thinking. Or Duchene, Soderberg would go to the wing, as faceoffs are 78, so that would be okay. Duchene should stay at center, so top line center. I think he performed. I don't know. We could do that, and then probably, I mean, Colborne 85. We could try him there. If not, we could definitely do Grigorenko, and then that could be a much better line. Actually, no, sorry, Colborne at the center, and then that looks set. I honestly like that. I think this is what we're going to start out with. Defensively, we might have to start out with that Weirkosh. Maybe he can get better as the season progresses. We'll definitely have to sign a defenseman probably in free agency, or maybe trade for one and then roll with. No matter what, I want to play Weirkosh, because if we play him, he might get better for next season, and that could be a nice cap. But I think he is also a very good defenseman still. We'll have to see. You guys can let me know. I got to finish it up now, so that'll be it. I hope you guys enjoyed the moves that we made in this free agency episode. Let me know what I could work on and what this team needs to do to get back into the playoffs and still be a very strong Stanley Cup contender. That's what we're going for now. We got to build off of what we did last year. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.